All right, thank you for staying with the executive.
Yes.
Before we took a break.
Yeah, fails to deliver a judgment in accordance with the law, which we have not seen.
Yes.
And I've said appearing state functions, I'll encourage the judiciary because this is a function for the government of Kenya. We have 3 arms of government. So even us, as the legislature, we keep appearing in state functions. We should not now, because of that appearance, also forget about our role on legislation and purely do what the executive wants us to do.
Okay.
So, for instance, when you see Honorable Jamatia meeting a member of ODM who is that one position, maybe they're having... You don't say that now the opposition and the executive are in bed. Because, you know, we are members of parliament.
Yeah.
So as the same thing applies as when you talk about arms of government, that association does not mean compliance with whatever that is going to happen. Because for the last 3 months, personally, given the fact that judiciary was able to forestall the executive's process of recruitment, its officers to form government, that it's a clear indicator that the executive, the judiciary is purely independent.
Okay.
Yes. For now, let's first of all see what the judiciary is supposed to serve Kenyans. As my colleague was saying, if the process is flawed, let a Kenyan move to court, file a petition, and say this whole process was flawed according to this particular article of the Constitution.
Okay.
Then the judiciary, looking at the law, should interpret the matter and give its decision based on the law.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Jamatia, start us off on this other conversation. There, it's on the front page of the Standard. Masit says I will drop a bombshell on the polls. Exactly 5 days to the start of the Musalia Tribunal sittings, Commissioner Irene Masit has declared that she will spill the beans on the conduct of elections and the aftermath. First of all, has this...
We want to tell her that probably we are waiting for the bombshell fine, but I don't think there's any other bombshell that we can wait than what we saw. They already dropped their bombshell when they behaved during the period of Bomas time. Because the first bombshell they dropped is when they walked out of Bomas and to go and do the presser and go against their own process and their own work, whatever thing they were doing, and treated Kenyans to a whole drama that there was something different that was happening. And also, the bombshell, in my opinion, was the behavior that they gave us, the Cherera for, that they can walk out of a whole process that everyone, and imagining and knowing that they are very independent, that they can walk out of a whole process and take Kenyans for granted at that time when they needed the most. Of whether this process was handled procedurally and constitutional, it was done very well. There was like Parliament followed the procedure, and we did it as per the Constitution. These people are going to be given an opportunity to be on trial or in tribunal. Whether they have a different opinion, fine. And I believe Michelule's team is going to give us a good verdict.
But she says there's a predetermined outcome.
It is the perception that they are, just because it is not predetermined, because the behavior that preceded to what it is happening now is what they actually think that it is. They're already in the court of, the executive and the legislature.
Okay.
But for me, you cannot do wrong and be left to.
Okay.
In the opinion of many Kenyans, at that time when we needed the Masit team and Cherera, they really failed Kenyans.
Okay.
And we have the, the responsibility, especially as Kenyans, to question why they did that.
Isn't that the predetermined position that we're talking about? Because you've just said that they failed Kenyans, who the president has also called them rogue in the process. Who decides that they failed Kenyans? Keep in mind that 4 of them disagreed with 3.
Yes.
Who's the majority here? Is it the 4 or the 3?
How they did it is what we are saying they failed, because there was no, just like they say, the same way we are arguing on these processes of vetting. They should have waited until the process of election is announced for them to walk away and dispute their own elections, than disputing the election before the end of the process.
Okay.
Like, for instance, walking out of Bomas when everyone is expecting them to give results. I remember I was in Bomas for 4 days and 4 nights, and we were with them all through. We would see them, giving us the results. They were doing all the things, and then to go against your own, things that you are doing was actually what you are saying. Tell us what you knew differently. Okay. Especially when you walk out of the process midway. That one shows that you are actually the one who had a problem with the problem. And probably, I'm looking forward to see what this bombshell is really ready to throw it there.
Commander, was this process handled properly, even in the court of public opinion? Because the president has mentioned several times that the rogue commissioners, they are saying there's a predetermined outcome. That same tribunal was appointed by the president. Does it make sense? Has it been handled properly?
You see, the truth of the matter, and I'm saying is this, at times Kenyans, we don't want to be honest, and Jamatia is also saying the same. She does not want to be honest, and the reason why she does not want to be honest is that they know that from day one, the intention was to kick out the 4 commissioners out of IBC, reconstitute IBC, with the ending of the term of the other 3 commissioners. So you basically have to have a new IBC by January. That is a fact. That is something they have determined, and it's a sure way that they are going to do it. And I'll tell you how they have effected it. Very simple. That the petitioners of the petition that was before Parliament, one of them is he calls himself Reverend Dumbi. Yes, he's a part and parcel of the UDA team. They are the petitioners. Yeah. They are the judges in that matter. They are the ones who are in those matters, and they are the ones who are going to render that verdict. Do you expect a different verdict? It cannot happen. So basically what they did is just to clothe they're just trying to clothe their decision, a predetermined outcome, with a legal process. That is all. You can even tell from the composition of that Muchelule tribunal that they have no, they cannot wiggle their way out. Masit, whatever bombshell she has. But at the end of the day, we have to remember this. And this is what Kenyans do not appreciate, is that the Supreme Court vindicated the 4 commissioners. It vindicated the 4 commissioners. The only thing it said is that, I don't recall the exact word, is that you cannot allow a last-minute disagreement within the commission, cannot be the basis of nullifying that election. And it also found that indeed Chebukati was not the commission. That commission the commission as a what do you call it? As a team ought to have verified those results. Yes. Yes. Those commissioners were vindicated. But the problem that you have is here, that because of the conduct and the way they behaved, walking away from Bomas, I remember we spent those nights with Jamatia at Bomas trying to verify those results. But it got to a place, I remember the last results were either announced by Masita. Yes, she was the one who announced that very late into the night, and that was the end. Nobody could keep count about the other results that were coming. But the truth of the matter, and this is what we are saying, is that however much they fight, the tribunal will convict them. If there is such a thing as conviction, you'll find that there are grounds for their removal. The only hope that they have is the judiciary. The judiciary, which we saw in yesterday in Meru, saying we have to wait for the entire process to be over before we decide. We also know there is another petition in Nairobi that is also being dragged by the same judiciary. So what we are saying is the only hope Basit has is in the judiciary. If the judiciary feels like they are not going to save her, then her tenure is over.
But there is a laid-down process of removing of a commissioner in the event that there is culpability on their end. Has that process been followed?
You see, the process is being followed.
JLAC, there's a tribunal.
Yes.
The tribunal is allowing her to state her case.
You see, there is a difference between we can stick to procedure. But the question you ask yourself, is there merit in whatever that is being done? You can follow the procedure. There is no problem, and nobody has even questioned the procedure. What we are saying is, basically UDA and Kenya Kwanza has the numbers in Parliament. It had the numbers in JLAC. So those petitions had to sail through in JLAC. Then, in whose hands do you leave the commissioners? In the hands of Parliament, in the hands of the President, to constitute the tribunal. He decides who are going to be members of that tribunal. He has expressed himself in public about those commissioners. He has also expressed himself on the 12th of this month by awarding 3 of those commissioners and leaving out 4. It can tell you only one thing, that the tribunal itself sitting there knows that we've been given one job to do, and one job is to remove these 4 commissioners. Period. Whether the procedure has been followed or not. Okay. Only one job to do, remove those commissioners. And they do not even need to be told. You see, the moment I'm the appointing authority and I say that those 4 commissioners messed up, when I hear Jamatia, a member of that political party, saying that those people messed up, and all the comments that they've been making, let us be honest. This is the appointing authority. Yeah? Their recommendation is binding on the president. That is their job description, and very simple. And for your information, they have a Christmas deadline to beat. If you have not heard that, they have a Christmas deadline to beat. So all the preliminary objections that are being raised, because I'm even privy to the proceedings, that they are being dismissed. And all the orders that are being granted, they are orders of, what do you call it? Because the petition, and the truth of the matter is that the petition has changed in form and substance from what was presented before Parliament to the material that is being presented to that tribunal. Yeah, completely. You have
actually objecting.
Yes, you have new evidence that is being brought in. You have someone's being issued to apartments to present video evidence, records, and all that. And there are issues that were not raised at the tribunal. All I'm saying, and I'm telling you this, it is a predetermined outcome. It is going to be that way, and I do not want to castigate or to cast aspersions on my colleagues, because I have colleagues in that tribunal, and there is also a judge. But it cannot be a coincidence that a judge whom the previous administration had refused to gazette as a Court of Appeal judge is the one who automatically became the head of this tribunal.
Okay.
It is not rocket science.
Thank you, Trevor. And you know what? I want to comment on first is the issue that my colleague says that the president awarded 3 and left out the 3.
Yes.
How do you receive a state commendation when you're facing a trial? Is it possible, Trevor? These people, they are before a tribunal, and it's common knowledge.
Yes.
Do you think that the president, in his own wisdom, will appear right to award people that are facing a tribunal? Let's first of all clear them. Then after that, I'm sure the president will follow and just say, okay, now that you have been cleared, I'll go to award state commendation just like the 3 others. So that's what my colleague, I think that one, you cannot put that to say that, okay, the president is wrong on this and the BCD or the executive. Then on the issue of my seat dropping a bombshell, I welcome it. That's the essence of a tribunal. Because you see, you appear there, present your evidence. We as Kenyans, we also personally, I'm waiting to hear the bombshell. And then once it's credible evidence, we'll stand with her. So we cannot just come and say, before she says whatever that she wants to say, we gag her by saying, don't, whatever you're saying is wrong, because we don't know what she wants to tell us. The issue of the president picking on a new judge, having practiced long in this country, this is a new person.
To appoint the 6 judges, 4 to the Court of Appeal and to the High Court. Yes. All of a sudden, on the first day of the new administration, they are gazetted as he's an appeal judge. He's later appointed to head the tribunal, and 2 days ago he is given an EBS. My friend.
He's the most free judge. The Court of Appeal, we cannot. You know, Trevor, the way the Court of Appeal operates, they sit in circuit, and where we have three judges. So what I believe is that most likely Musalia don't receive the allocation of a bench where he's going to sit. And now, this is the most available judge. Allocate him these duties. So what you want, the test before Musalia is be impartial, give us a credible decision.
Which he said he would.
Yes, and that's what we went to. My colleague said he would.
But are you concerned then, Mulanya, that
Yes.
the president himself has made pronouncements against this four?
Oh, that one is wrong. It's prejudicial. Actually, that one I don't support personally as a lawyer. The president should not have made those pronouncements. But being a human being, being a politician, perhaps this could be a political process. The team, I know Karo commanded, let them give us a credible decision. Because
you've forgotten Mythical Inturi's running mate is also a member of that tribunal. Yes. you see, there are things, it's only that you do not want to cast aspersions on our colleagues.
Yes.
But these are things that are being talked about.
Yes.
You look at that commission and the way it was composed, I can tell you, they only have one job to do. There is no justification from Honorable Mulanya, my colleague here, my senior here, that can justify whatever is happening. And Jamateo knows that what is in the process right now is headhunting of new commissioners in readiness for 2027. Because the die is cast, 3 of them have already resigned. 1 of them is fighting for her life, but she's in HDU, and the life support is about to be cut off. The other 3 commissioners are going to go home in January. Yes. So now the only person you have is what do you call the CEO? He's the one now who's left now to recruit. Yes, Marjan is the one now who's left to get the new crop of commissioners. So basically, what you have is a situation where the die is cast.
Okay.
At times, the problem is. And I'm happy for the 3 commissioners.
Who resigned?
Mm-hmm. Yes?
Why?
Because, reality in this country, and what when we kept talking about winner takes it all, what we forget is the loser loses it all. That is the system. We just focus on the winner and forget about the loser. Here, the 3 commissioners for the position that they took, yes? When they were seen as having sided with the wrong side of government, or the government of the day then, that never made it back. They're the losers. They are home.
Trevor, let me just, before I forget this point, what we are forgetting is also to look into the process that led to the appointment of these 4.
Yes.
So we are looking at the situation as it is right now, forgetting the situation as it was the other time. They normally say, you will exit how you came. So perhaps the process leading to the appointment of the 4 was also questionable by the previous parliament and the previous regime. There was a lot of noise, there was a lot of fight. So perhaps what I'm saying is, in all fairness, let's just have a new team of the IBC. Because you see, there will be a lot of suspicion. Whoever comes says, these 4 were brought by so and so to cater for his own personal interest.
Which they did anyway.
No, I'm not saying they did it. What I'm saying is, let's also...
before everything, I want to agree also with my colleagues there that this process, as it is already been judged in the public opinion that, determination has been, probably done before the cast is already done. But I want to still... say that they have an opportunity to still tell us more. Maybe, the way we perceive the whole process before and now, it might not be true. If we listen to the tribunal and the Masit team, we will definitely have another view on. And if actually they have a different opinion and that we are not supposed to be judging them harshly, then we are Kenyans and we have to give them opportunity to continue serving as members of IEBC. Okay. And for me, I have no problem. Right. If they can take care of themselves properly and they are in, I am okay. Okay. Because these are Kenyans who have all the rights, and as they are serving now, if they did whatever thing they did was in their opinion that it was right, then we give them another opportunity. But as you said, it is a new dispensation. And we are presidential, whatever do you call
system.
Mm-hmm. And presidential system comes with one way. It's like coming and doing different things in its own time. Yeah. And we look forward to what is coming up. But all in all, Kenya is a very democratic country, and we are. I want to say the whole region and Africa is looking up to us. Okay. Whatever thing we do now, or we do all the time, it reflects what we are as Kenyans.
Okay, I'm about to take some feedback right now, but Commander, you know, there's something interesting that Mulanya brought in when he was talking about the process of appointment. Masit, for example, the courts had already ruled that she was not supposed to be there because she had vied for an elective position at some point. But at the time when that petition came through, the elections were so near that they couldn't have disabled IEBC. So is this fight even worth it? Because she was on her way out anyway.
You see, these, you see,
specifically
for Masit and what you are saying, because I listened into that judgment. And the question was whether indeed she had vied for a political position in the previous 5 years. And the court was of the opinion, since the election is a process, she participated not in the elections, but she participated in Jubilee nominations, where she lost in the Jubilee nominations, and therefore she was considered as having vied in that.
That's an election.
In that, you see, that, it's open to interpretation, and I hope, because I know they took it up on appeal.
Yes.
That was the only ground on which her suitability was challenged. Not on any other ground. And actually, not on Chapter 6, not on anything that would question her on.
Yeah, let him finish that.
Let me finish. You could not question her on anything. Yeah. And what I believe is that the court was very pragmatic at that point, and I believe we were hardly, at that point, we were hardly a month into the elections. Two things would have arisen. One, the gender composition of the IBC would have risen, whether they are compliant with the two-third gender rule, with the removal of Masit. And then, at the same time, the preparations, because already the commissioners had already been given roles and to do what to do. So, but I believe properly applying the other qualifications, apart from this one disqualification, Masit is rightly a commissioner. Yes. That will not question. Right. But at the same time, and you know what I want pending before court, and I'm sure it is also going to be done, what is going to be challenged. Now, if you remove these other commissioners right now, the term of the other three commissioners, Chebukati and these other two commissioners, end on 15th of January. Yeah. Basically, you will not have sufficient time with whatever that is ongoing to recruit a new commission. So on 15th of January, I can assure you, we will not have an IBC as a commission. We will not have commissioners within IBC. We will only have the secretariat. You remember, during the BBI cases, a question arose as to whether IBC can transact without commissioners. It's the same thing that arose during the cases that were touching on EACC. So unless we are careful, unless this government has a plan, not just sending off these 4 commissioners, we risk having not a commission in the near future, especially if there are people who are going to challenge either amendments to the IBC Act or the composition of the committees that are going to be formed for purposes of appointing the commissioners.
Okay.
Yes. Trevor, let me just say something about what my colleague has said. One, we must realize that already 3 have resigned.
Yes.
If they have resigned from the job, they are out. So even if you talk that we risk running into problems, we are already facing the same problem. Because the only thing that we should do is fast-track the process of recruiting the commissioners.
Yes.
To replace them and maybe leave one that is facing the tribunal. We'll make a decision later. But on the issue of Masit, let me just take you back again. You know, the rationale behind the law that you cannot be a commissioner if you participate in an election the past 5 years. In politics is an emotive exercise. There is a lot of emotional attachment. If you are a Jubilee person, so inside you still have the attachment and the support of Jubilee and other things. And that's why the law bars you that if you have been vying for a political seat, then you will not be impartial when you come in because you still have attachment to a particular side that where you are. And that's the reason. And Masit should not have even offered herself, knowing that the law bars her from being a commissioner. So that's the thing that we just closed our eyes and said, okay, the court has said, but now we don't have time to do a replacement. So 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Okay.
If we made a wrong decision, then there are question marks now arising out after that.
Okay.
Do you think that it's proper and better to clean the whole process, have confidence, so that we have a team that the whole country has confidence in to give us leaders. So that's my take on that one.
Okay. Yeah. Let me bring up some of the feedback, and then we'll talk about something Kamande raised here when he said that the winner takes it all and the loser loses everything. There's a proposal by the president to have the office of the official opposition. Is that a way of remedying what you're calling loser losing it all? But let's see what you're saying on your feedback. Let's bring that up and see at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. That's where you can get us. We're talking about matters, politics, and everything in between there. We've spoken about the Masit issue. We've also spoken about the DAPK issue. But let's bring that up first before we bring up the feedback, and then we'll take all of them at the same time. Kamande, is that proposal a possible remedy to what you are saying, that the loser loses everything? Now the president is proposing that shall we then form the office of the official opposition. There's a proposal that official opposition should have a conversation with parliamentarians every once in a year. They should have a budget. They should operate within some budget and also some regulations as well. Is that a possible remedy to the loser losing everything?
Politics aside, I've always been of the opinion that we need opposition well represented in parliament. You cannot have the reason why you have MPs like Honorable Mulanya running to government, and even some MPs within our party, Jubilee and Azimio, running to Kenya Kwanza, is simply because they do not have a leader in the house. And for them to have positions within that parliament, to join committees, leadership positions, is that you have to align yourself in a certain way. So for me, politics aside, without judging who's pushing that proposition, I believe we need to have a leader of official opposition in parliament, right inside parliament. Yeah, you remember in those days during Moi days, during Kanu days, when you had Kibaki as a shadow. Was it the shadow president with cabinet and all that? You'd have meaningful engagement and people critique of government agenda and all that. And that a loser of the presidential election does not just go into oblivion. We should not have that. I think we should always have the runners-up back in parliament if he has the numbers. If indeed there is no reason why, if he has the highest numbers, he cannot be the majority simply because he did not win the election. But we need the loser in parliament. Yes. With every, whatever designation is going to be given. I think for purposes of keeping the government in check, he needs to be in that house, in parliament. Yes.
You agree with that position of having the official opposition office?
I agree with that position as much as because of the realities of the day. We realize that we're Africans, and as much as we borrow most of the parts of our constitution, the people who lost are still calling themselves Waishi. So for this government to suggest that it is good for us to have a structured opposition office is going to be very, productive democratically and politically in this country, because we will have a leader who, for instance, Kenya Kwanza won with a shy of, almost 200,000 plus. That is a very
small, slim lead, yes.
Slim lead, and it's also very good also to consider that.
Thank you, Trevor. I believe that this was a great move to correct a mistake that happened when we created a good constitution that we'll have. We know that the leader of opposition is a very key and important person to checkmate the government. This is the person that is there and the voice of, because Raila got 6.9 million or 6.7 million. He commands quite a sizable number of following in this country.
That's true.
So he's leading a team of members of parliament that are many, more than 140. So in his absence, what I've seen in the assembly, or let me say this, because you find that you have motions that are very key, which you need a debate from both sides. But you realize that on the government side is almost full house.
Yes.
On the opposition side, it's just a handful of MPs Just maybe the minority leadership that you will also see ever present in assembly. But when you have their leader present, these members of parliament who are supposed to be in the opposition, they'll be whipped to be in the house, they will know their role, and they come and all these things that we are saying, oh, ABCD is happening. We'll have quality debate, quality legislation. When we have an opposition leader present in the house to lead his members.
But Commander, there's a concern that this came from an executive memo, and if that is encouraged, nothing stops the president from giving another executive memo at some point. In fact, Buddy's conversation yesterday, we said that nothing would then stop him from even giving a memorandum of an extension of presidential term limits.
You see, and that's the reason why I said my disclaimer was politics aside. You know, we have issues with so many things that are done by government. It is in our nature to oppose whatever is done. And it is not different when this goes as a memo. It is actually a proposal. And what the president has done, he has reverse engineered the BBI decision. That unlike when the president went ahead and the fourth president went ahead and formed all the committees, the BBIs, and did all that, what the president has said, and this is what the court said, that maybe a president can do this. You can send a proposal to Parliament so that if an initiative is initiated by Parliament, it is not a popular initiative, but it becomes a parliamentary initiative. So basically what the president has done is to follow the law. Whatever you call that document, or whether it's an executive memo, whether it was a love letter that was sent to Parliament, whatever it is, basically what you have is a communique from the president to the houses of Parliament. Please consider these proposals, legislative proposals. If you see them fit, go ahead and legislate or initiate that process. I will not question that. But the question what we should be asking ourselves is the legality and soundness of those proposals. For example, that proposal, anybody who supported BBI cannot be seen to be opposing that proposal right now simply because it is coming from the president. It is not right. It is hypocrisy, I would say that. We cannot be accusing the current government of bringing in BBI 2, so we want to oppose them for bringing BBI 2 because they opposed BBI 1. That's a charade. We cannot be engaging in certain things. If we believed that our introduction of BBI 1 was in the best interest of Kenyans, so all those proposals that were in BBI 1, that are now in this BBI 2, I would call it that way, let them sail through if they're in the best interest of the country. Unless you are telling us you are equally dishonest when you are supporting BBI 1. So regardless of the person who's bringing this memo, for example, if the president says, let us extend the term of Parliament, who would oppose it? Because one, it is contrary to the same constitution. Even if you are going to subject it to, it has to be subjected to a referendum. There is no indication in this part, and what the fears that I have seen coming, and which are real fears, is that the president is trying to tell legislators, my friends, be ingenious enough and ensure that this matter does not go to a referendum. That is where I have now issues with that. Because you see, that is what that communique is saying. That let us try to avoid means that are going to bring about political divisions and all that. What is simply telling us is that if you can have this passed through Parliament, throughout, let it sail through Parliament without going for referendum, I would really appreciate. But the truth of the matter is that some of these offices and some of these amendments cannot be made without going to a referendum. In that case, if that is the route that they are going to take, we are going to oppose. But if they are going to follow the law, where a referendum is required, we are going to a referendum, then I personally would support it and would campaign for it at a referendum. But I know there's one man who doesn't like referendum in this country. Yes.
Trevor, let me just ask one question.
Yes.
You know, something surprises me about Kenyans.
Yes.
When we complain about an issue and then an offer is issued, then we share again and then start critiquing about it. Let's look at our neighbor, let's see, Uganda. for instance, do you think that the sitting president recognizes even the opposition? He doesn't, because the opposition keep crying. They have no space where they can even critique the government. But now, here we have a president who is saying, yes, I feel that I need somebody to checkmate me to say, this one you have done wrong, this one you have done wrong, and you are given resources by the government. You have an office, you have people working for you, researchers to research and even find out what the government is doing. Then we come and say, no, we don't think the president is right. Why is the president bringing this motion? Maybe perhaps even the same Wandai and team should have been the first one to realize that to work better as opposition in the House, we need an office of official position. We need resources so that we can carry out our duties properly. So if someone else has seen that loophole and is saying, let's cover this, then why should you complain, and yet this thing is supposed to aid you deliver your services? So let's not be a critique nation whereby anything that is done by your opponent, you jump and say, I smell a rat on this, or this is done wrongly, A, B, C, D. That's one. Let's wait for the process. If the way my colleague is saying, if the process requires a referendum, yeah, as Parliament, we'll go the full way.
Full plan, yes.
But if the process doesn't require a referendum, just a minor amendment by the Parliament, let's debate the matter in Parliament soberly and give Kenyan a good decision in terms of the amendment of the Constitution.
Okay. Jimati, are Kenyans ready for a referendum if this is going the full hog like Mulanya is saying?
I don't think Kenyans are ready for a referendum now. And we don't need a referendum if there are things we can square it out in Parliament. And our good lawyer here, I like the way he's bringing it. But you see, there's a reality and there's the perception. For instance, this issue of the opposition, we already have opposition anyway. The only thing is we don't have where to place, we don't feel them. We don't know where they are. It's like, when you wake up in your house and you find everyone all over the place. What the president is suggesting through Parliament is that, can we have an organized setup that we can do this thing? Going to referendum is another thing. And it is possible that probably there will be more suggestions and litigations that can take us to referendum. But it could have been, you see, referendum as its own, positives and also negatives. Because negatives is the tedious processes and all these things that we need to go round and round, talking about the same thing that all of us know where we are going. And it is good to take all the proposals and views and everything. But for the longest, we've seen, and any Kenyan who has been consuming politics, as we all do, understands that the office of opposition leader, and because I remember when we used to have an opposition office functioning those days, debate in Parliament used to be very credible, and it used to be very lively, used to be very, educative, and you would feel the presence of Parliament, because that is where issues are being, laid properly on the floor, and we debate. Not this time, not that we are not debating well now, but the energies and the synergies, because when you have someone who is checkmating you, by the way, gives you that power to understand yourself more, and it also not only helps the government of the day, by the way, it helps everyone. Every Kenyan must understand the role of government, role of judiciary, and role of, the leadership in place. You elect a leader, and the key, role as a member of Parliament is to oversight. I am on the Parliament, the government side of government. But do I need someone who tells me you didn't do this right? Yes, I do. And that is what we are actually trying to, midwife, so that this country also have an enriching democracy, and we will definitely grow. Okay. And even this, when we are talking about the achievement of government, it becomes so, not that we just want to just critique, part of critique. The former president of America, Jeff Kennedy once said that we should always be, questioning what we do for government.
Okay.
Yes, what do we do? What is this that we do for government?
All right.
Not all the time that what is government doing for us. That way, it is a give and take.
Okay.
But many times, as much as government is the one who's supposed to be, helping the people and doing and giving service to people, the people should also help government to, help them more.
All right.